Okay, so let's talk about communication a little bit. First of all, communication between who? Between what are the sides? So one side is myself, but who is the other side? Who are we communicating with? Who am I communicating with? It's a very difficult question. As I said, for a long time, I thought about, I imagined like that I communicate with starships. Even though I should say that I speculated about the existence of nanobots in my body, and I've even wrote about it maybe even as early as 3 or 4 years ago. And and I have done several experiments over the years, but in a much less and not like in a methodical way like in the last couple of months. But I have done several experiments with my bodily fluids, and I also bought the microscope and microscopic like all sort of like rudimentary, like the peripheral lab equipment. And I've done all sorts of like studies with burning my semen. As I said, it was like presented like as evidence in a trial against me to take my children from me, so I will not be able to see my daughters. It was raised. The social workers show presented it as like an evidence that I'm insane and shouldn't be close to my children. And actually, see, I don't like, they were taken from me but more than like 4 months ago and like 5 months ago, and in the age of 6 or 7, it's a huge amount of time for them, and it's cool. It's a cool thing, and it's just cool, and they miss me so much, and I don't understand why they can't see me. And of course it will probably, I pray to God that this will not leave mark on them forever, but you know very well that it might do. And this is a crime against humanity. And I've said many times, if you ask yourself, why does it happen to us? Why do the aliens annihilate all of us? The answer is very simple. They don't want you to eat their children. Their children are not your food or prey. And if you insist after many warnings on taking their children from the aliens, you understand, the reaction will also, yes, exactly that. Billion and a half children of Homo sapiens, perhaps are not, unjustified price. For certain, I said perhaps just, as another statement. But it's not a big deal. If that's what's needed, and certainly that's what's needed, because we've tried so many other methods and other depriving humanity of the ability to procreate. You never stop taking our children from us. You've done it for more than 100 years. You like to do it to enslave our children, to eat them literally, to use them like as prostitutes or as servants for your mainly for your politician and your people of the intelligence community, and you just didn't stop. And now you took my children from me after they were raised by me in joint custody since they were born. You decided that it's enough is enough, and it's time to take them from him, because of course for the usual purpose. And I've told you before that it's going to happen, and the price will be mankind or humankind, and that's exactly what you see right now. That is the price. And actually, I think it's a fair price. Why would we let you take our children from us? Do you see any reason? Because you can. We can do the same, and much in a much grander scale. Just deprive humanity of their ability to procreate. That's it. And it's very simple. If it was up to me, actually, I would have ended everything immediately. I don't know why. Why are they waiting? But people in the higher circles, they have their plans, and they are smarter than me, and they decided that humans should not have more children, because if they take the children of other species, they are not. Why should we let them have their own children? It's very, very simple. And I find it amazing that actually people are still that some people are in Israel or maybe even abroad, still they use whatever medium that they can to convey me the message that we should we should be merciful towards their children or their babies, and ask you do it while I'm in prison and deprived of the opportunity to see my daughters. I'm getting those messages. So They don't have any kind of like, they lost all connection or link between what they do and what the results. Because they work for so and they live for so long in an environment that there is no accountability, not only towards their victim, which belong mostly to other like states and other like social groups than them, but they're not even accountable inside their own organization. There is no accountability in the Shabak and the Mossad. There is no such a thing as accountability. There is nothing even remotely similar to accountability. So they don't. So they don't understand. Of course we took your children from you and we do everything you can, so we'll not be able to see the real children. That's because we want to put pressure on you, so you will give us your flesh and blood for free and agree to live like as a poor dog. But we do not understand why we are punished with our own children, and we ask you, we understand that it's somehow related to you. We're not sure how it's related to you, but we came to the conclusion that that this phenomenon is related to you. So we ask you to do whatever you can, so it will stop. So there will be no problem with our own children or potential children with our fertility, and we do not see any connection at all between what we do to you and what is happening to us, because we don't live in a world that such accountability even exists. That's Israel, and to a smaller extent, but big enough in order to justify annihilation. That's the situation of the entire species, which is called Homo sapiens. They don't understand. They just they don't understand any kind of what's the word, that you do something and something is done. They don't see the connection. They think that you do whatever you can to eat. The other side, to take whatever you can, and you need to defend yourself against if people are attacking you. But there is no there is no words mean nothing in this kind of words are just weapon. Words are bullets in machine gun. It's a metaphor that I read in Philip Roth. Actually, he died, I think, not long ago. So in one of his novels, he said that people spoke about Jews, but that they use language they use language as a weapon and words as bullets in machine gun. Words are they just spray words on you, at you. You need to dodge, to always dodge it and fight and then attack attack. And when you can you need to attack them again with your own machine gun of words and I remember that this metaphor is I don't know if he knew Israel. He did. He had some knowledge of Israel. He actually wrote a novel. Actually, I read a novel about scientific account of the trial of the Nazi criminal. What if the Manuk? I think it's a good book, but and it was somehow it shows some understanding of the Israeli society, but he mostly knew the Jews in the United States. But that's incredibly true about Israelis. They just use and certainly the intelligence community. They just, words are not symbols. For them, words are weapons, are bullets. They just shoot at you, whenever they can. And it doesn't have to be even consistent. They can the same intelligence organization, different people or agents or whatever inside it. At the same time, they can shoot words at you that mean to threaten you, and shoot other words that mean to to tempt you to join them, and other words that should subjugate you, and other words that means to to humiliate you and to put you down, and other words that are used as triggers. And that's a huge thing. What they do is to use their subconscious triggers. That's so much of what. It's amazing how many magical words they shoot at you all day and night. And I've spoken about it in the past. It's so ridiculous that I don't even want to speak about it. But if we speak about words and weapons, that's one of the main weapons. The triggers, psychological trigger weapons, and other words are. They shoot at you in order to say that they are sorry, and they ask you to show mercy. So all in at the same time while you are undercover, and people are all from all directions. You shot at with words that mean completely different things, but it's all come from the same organization. So that's the situation in Israel. Words are bullets in a machine gun. But normally, I mean, for like conscious, like sentient beings, words should mean something. But I mean, they only mean something if, like, you understand the meaning of an obligation. And that's something that, I mean, is not only you can find it in the Israeli intelligence, but I suspect, and it's very disappointing, it's something that does not exist in other intelligence communities. And part of the reason why, and I spoke about it in the past, and I even like quoted Umberto Eco, important like quotation from Foucault's pendulum. I don't know if you remember, I spoke about the fact that, I mean, much of the secret language of the intelligence community in Israel, and this is also true for abroad, but especially in Israel, much of like the symbols and the secret language is not, I mean, its purpose is not like to hide something from to hide something from the rest of the world. I mean, if it was possible to them to just, I mean, to publish like a book like that will translate all the symbols to the whole world, but if it was possible to do it without like, I mean, where there will be like no like way to prove who actually published the book in Western commentaries, it's impossible. So that's why they don't do it. But if it was possible, they actually do it. They don't care that everyone will understand the secret language. The secret language or the symbols in the Israeli intelligence, they exist not in order to hide some kind of truth from some part of the population. The only reason why they use the symbols in their secret language is because they want to speak in a way that it will be, I mean, without consequences. It should be, I mean, their messages should be always formulated in a way that you will never be able to actually go anywhere and say, okay, they promised me something, but now they didn't return it. That's the whole purpose of the secret language. They don't want to, they want the language not in any way like be tied to any kind of duty or responsibility or promise. They want every moment to be potentially the first moment in history. They want to be able to start everything from scratch at any given time. So words should only be uttered in a way that it will not be able to prove in any like meaningful place, like a courtroom or in public discourse, that the words actually meant anything at all. And that's why they use secrets, like the symbols. They want the language to have no meaning. And why do they want the language to have no meaning at all? Because in their thought, any kind of like a promise or any kind of like a duty or a debt could be, I mean, either that they owe you or you owe them. Now, if you owe them, they don't need you to feel that you owe them, because all they want from you is something concrete. They never ask you to promise them something like, oh, they always ask you for something. Give us your semen, give us your blood, give us everything that you have, give us this and fuck that woman, allow this man to rape you. It's only concrete and only like very short term. They don't want you to promise anything at all. Why would so? I mean that aspect of language does not exist from their point of view. Now the other way around of them owing something to you is even more ridiculous, because they in their episode, they never owe you anything, and if they give you something, it's only because they want like to give it to you. Now, in such like in this kind of like situation, I mean, in this kind of world that, I mean, that or this kind of language is used, I mean, why should you like like do anything in order to appease them? Because presumably you understand that they will never owe you anything. And the answer is simply because they are the stronger side, because it's a kind of a communication that is always between the stronger and the weaker. The organization is the stronger, and the civilian or the person is the weaker side. And in their thought, the weaker side should always appease the stronger side. So, I mean, if this is the law of how humans always conduct with each other, that the weaker should appease the stronger, then why language is even needed? Because this kind of like a rule, also exists, where no language exists. And that's why I've called it, if you remember that, I've called the secret language of the Israeli community an anti-language. I've said this is not a language, it's anti-language. Because its purpose in the deepest way is not to hide reality from you, is but to create a world that the language does not exist. And the only thing that actually matters is the understanding of who is the stronger and who is the weaker. And every kind of noise that is directed at you or from you, it only means one thing. They want to reaffirm, to know that you understand that you are the weaker side and they are the stronger side. Reaffirmation and admittance in the understanding of who is the stronger and who are the weaker, who is the weaker and who are the stronger, is the only meaning, the only purpose of the language, any kind of language, the spoken or symbolic one that the people of Israeli intelligence use. That's the only thing that that's the only purpose. So they can shout like, all you, they can day and night, come to your window and like, shout at you and beep at you and, and do all the tortures like inside your house when you are like, the 100 house tricks that when you eat something that they make noise and when you pee, they can have tons of noises and different like, and a host of theater shows, so much theaters, the actors are like, never ending scripts, but every kind of message, be it a theater show, a music, a beep, or text, it could like, there are a million variations. I've seen a million variations, but they all mean the same. The semantics is very simple because every kind of message means this one thing alone. Please show us that you understand that you are the weaker side and we are the stronger side, and that you understand that in this world the weaker side should always appease the stronger side. That's the only message that I've ever received from them in my entire life. And there is a million symbols with an elaborate syntax, but the semantics contains only one object. It's like a semantics that contains one object, one semantic, like one semantic let's call it atom, an atom of that semantics contains one atom, the atom of the force, the atom of we are stronger. Please, show us that you understand it and that the weaker should report is stronger. But a million, but the syntax is incredibly complicated, and the vocabulary is like indefinitely huge, like without end. There is no limit to how large the vocabulary of the Israeli intelligence can be. They use, so many different, theater shows and acting and music and different language. It doesn't have to be Hebrew and they use, they have the huge vocabulary of how they use their cars. Like, they use the real cars, not like the human cars. Like, their vehicles. So, it's a huge thing. They have an elaborate vocabulary of like many different cars with different stickers on them and different shapes and forms and they, so it's a huge vocabulary, it's all about syntax, but the semantics contain one atom, the atom of we are the stronger, you are the weaker, please acknowledge that you understand this fact and act accordingly. That's it. That's where I live. That's just the symbolic framework of the Israeli intelligence, and unfortunately for many other intelligence organizations as well. And what I don't understand, and by now it's a mystery to me, is how they actually communicate with each other, intelligence services. Because for certain, each side wants to say that he is the stronger. So they just repeat the message of we are the stronger, you are the weaker, indefinitely. It seems unfruitful, but maybe Homo sapiens is really much less intelligent than they think they are. Normally, symbols should, like any symbolic language, before the syntax is evolving and before we start to speak about vocabulary, we need to speak about semantics, about meanings. Like, what do you even want to mean? This is also true of like the language that I use with the Neros. First of all, we need to think, what is the meaning that we seek? We need to expand and we need to think about like what can be the meaning from each other perspective, because spaceship they have their own meanings and nanobots they have their own meanings, and I as a humanoid robot, I have also my my semantic field, like of various meanings. So I mean, first you expand your semantics and you articulate it. You think I want that or this not, and I want this to happen, or that, and when and what. And so this is the first stage, and this stage does not exist at all in the realm of communication between me or another person, I guess, and the intelligence services of Israel, because the semantics, I mean, contain only one like object, one atom, and there is no other. I mean, so and amazingly, even though it's such a simple semantic field, it's contains just one object. I mean, the other components of the language, as I said, the vocabulary and the syntax are, I mean, immeasurably like complicated and never ending. Okay, so we spoke about, I mean, a little bit about the communication between the robots of the Israeli intelligence. Now, I mean, I'll start another video just in a minute, and we will speak about the communication between me and the nanobots and the starships.